Welcome, I'm Papa John, and this is Superheroes and Sitcoms. Today, we are talking superheroes. We've got the newest MCU movie. We finally have the MCU's back in theaters with Black Widow, directed by Cate Shortland, which obviously stars Scarlett Johansson, but it also has Florence Pugh, which is someone I've really grown to love her roles and her acting abilities over the past couple of years. And then you also have David Harbour and Rachel Weisz, and so let's get into it.
I'm done running from my past.
And so first of all, I have to talk about the opening of the movie. I loved the opening of the movie. Everything that takes place during sort of that, I guess, flashback opening. And then you also get the opening credits. I thought all of that was great, especially like the opening credits. I got very excited during the opening credits because you have like this nice cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit playing, and with the imagery they're showing, it feels like we're finally going to get that MCU movie, that kind of serious, very much mature MCU movie along the lines of like Daredevil or The Punisher. And I got pumped when that opening credits was going, and with the opening of the scene and everything, I was getting pumped. I was like, we're finally going to get this just great, awesome action movie, kind of more mature action movie, which is something I've always wanted in the MCU, but I've always been optimistic about it, but I've never necessarily expected it to happen. That being said, the rest of the movie was not that. It's not the same tone as sort of the first half hour or so of the movie. But it was still enjoyable enough. The action scenes were pretty damn good. They're great. Especially like the fight scenes with Taskmaster, which most of the Taskmaster stuff was actually a negative. When it comes to the action scenes, it was all really good. I don't think it was on the same level as like the Russo brothers movies. They all have great action, and there's a couple others that might have some better action and better fight scenes. But this is still up there as one of the best in terms of fight scenes in the MCU. And then the thing that really makes this a good movie is the cast. They all have great chemistry, and they all fit the role perfectly. They banter off each other really well. That being said, I did get frustrated a little bit with Red Guardian, David Harbour. A lot of people are actually saying he was one of the best parts. For me, I thought the performance was fine. I just didn't necessarily think the jokes around him always fit within the rest of the movie. Overall, though, I think the movie as a whole is kind of more mid-tier MCU, but kind of like lower mid-tier. Like, it's not in the bottom tier, but it's like the lower mid-tier. Mainly because it just kind of feels like a sort of inferior version of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Because you have like a cool designed super bad guy that shows up, super soldier that shows up in a nice costume, awesome looks badass, but then you find out he's working for a secret organization that's trying to take over the world. And then you have at the end, you have like a main villain that's very much like Alexander Pierce from The Winter Soldier. Like, everything is just very Winter Soldier-y to me, but it's all pulled off not as good. It's still pulled off really well, just not as good. And so it kind of just makes me want to go back and watch The Winter Soldier rather than watch this movie. And also, a little spoiler here, but the third act, just like The Winter Soldier, involves kind of a hovering bases falling to the ground, which is very much also what happens in the third act of The Winter Soldier. Black Widow also kind of just feels like a generic spy action thriller, in the vein of Jason Bourne, which is my favorite spy franchise. I love that concept of having amnesia and kind of getting it back, or having some kind of memory alteration thing, which this movie does have some of that as well. It has kind of a generic MCU tone, which I enjoy, but I've got other movies that are better with the same tone that I'd rather go back and rewatch. And so my final thoughts are basically that Black Widow is a well-made MCU movie, but there's a lot of well-made MCU movies, and Black Widow just comes off being more of a generic spy thriller with a generic MCU tone. It doesn't do anything that makes it stand out among the pack of either MCU movies or spy action thrillers. It doesn't really do much to stand out, but I still enjoy both of those types of things enough, and so I do think it did a good enough job to at least get, I guess, a 3.75. That's what I'm going to give it. I was battling between a 3.5 and a 4, so I just kind of went in the middle. Go ahead and tell me your thoughts on Black Widow in the comments section down below. And if you enjoyed this review, go ahead and smash that thumbs up icon, smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well. Have a great day, and always remember, that's life.